Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service.
Here we are again at the end of our rainbow.
Welcome to the album Alchemy series, a focused look into the alchemy behind rap's freshest albums directly from the mouth of their creators. Today, I welcome you to the first inaugural episode of this new series, spotlighting Mighty Cannons, with the two artists responsible for creating this record. Maryland's Ace Cannons as the rapper for this project, and Miami Beach's MIGHTYHEALTHY on the boards. These two brought a distinct tenacity and aggression to this year's rap game that makes Mighty Cannons stand out. Listen on to hear their interesting thought processes as it relates to this very fun and energetic record. You don't want to miss this. The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth album and song reviews, as well as artist interviews and general rap commentary sprinkled in between on all of what the mainstream and underground rap scenes have to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show. What is up? How are you guys doing?
Man, pretty good. How about yourself?
Thanks for asking.
Man, I'm doing great. Doing very good. Very excited to have the first installment of insert name of this series here, because I have not named it. With the magic of technology, by the time the rest of you guys hear, this will have some hopefully very cool name. But for now, I'm here with Ace Cannons and MIGHTYHEALTHY. We're talking Mighty Cannons. This has been a really great project to get into for a lot of reasons, but right off the bat, it's really clear that you guys have a really dope chemistry. Like it doesn't need any introduction to either you guys as solo artists. If anybody puts this on, they're like, damn, yeah, those guys are a group. Like that must be a thing, you know? So my question to start is, what did you guys see in each other's craft that made you think like we should team up and make this album, Mighty Cannons?
Well, for me, it was just simple. You know, he's dope. Like, I think a lot of times, in these interviews, like guys will try to give like this long, drawn out, deep thought, like to make it sound so good. But for me, it was more like, I got an ear, and I'm just like, yo, that's what I like. What he's doing is what I need. Like that's the world I need to be in. That's the type of grittiness I'm on. Because doing different projects and stuff, you try to experiment with other sounds and you do a lot. But it's like, man, I knew whatever I did after my last project, I just wanted to rap. I didn't want to be topical, or I just really wanted to rap. And man, he just got the potion, man. Whatever it is he doing over there, he just got it.
Yeah, I mean, and likewise, Ace was the first person that has ever used a joint of mine, and we kind of just hit it off quick, and yeah, we've just been like, we're actually friends, so it was pretty much a no-brainer that we should just do more songs.
Yeah, there's a camaraderie. I hate that word. I can never say it right. There's a camaraderie between you guys that's pretty clear when you listen to the music, that I think is a obvious staple of any good like rapper producer record. Like there has to be that bond. And for you, MIGHTYHEALTHY, could you put into words the kind of sound that you wanted to give Ace with this album and the beats that you made?
Well, I mean, when it comes to producing certain artists, with Ace in particular, because of how he raps and how aggressive he can get, like I always wanted to like see like how far we could take it. So that's why a lot of these joints are just fast paced. I mean, that's just the nature of my production, really. But I really wanted to really nail that this time, and we did it.
I like the thing that I love the most is really the drums. And like particularly like they hit hard, but they are like propelling. They're like fast as fuck. It's like a high speed chase, high energy, gritty as fuck. That's the thing. And I think that makes sense that you really tried to push it, because it's not many albums these days that are made where I think it's like rapping and the production is really at that pace that it
Right.
is on this album. And I think it really fit Ace well. And a follow up to that is, did you and Ace have the same kind of idea? Like you said, like you wanted to push that kind of aggression to the max, or did you kind of have to deliberate and figure that out as you went, or was it a pretty much like a, oh yeah, no, that's where we're going right from the bat,
Uh,
get go?
Ace got a just a perspective on it.
You know, I'm gonna be real honest. I'm you know biased, but I really let him take control. I really just let him, like, I don't want to say control, but he had a vision. I didn't know I didn't know necessarily where I wanted to go 100% as far as like the direction of the project, but you know, I wasn't understanding where he was trying to go at first because he'd be like, "Yo, you should do this joint," and I'd be like, "Really? But we got a joint like this or a joint like that," and it was just confusing at first. And then I think it was when we did the song "Birds of a Feather,"
Mm.
and when we did that song, he sent it back to me. Um, Man, like I just was like, I remember telling him, I understand now. And from that point, everything else was so easy. Like that, the process of the project, it was so fast because once you, I think once you understand where somebody trying to take it, it's easier for you to go that way. Like I can paint, but like I don't. What am I painting? And then once he's like, you know, we doing this, it's like, oh, okay, I could do this. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. And you said earlier about how like you wanted to make an album, Ace, that where you could just rap. So the next thing I want to get to is kind of just like the lyrics specifically and what you were trying to go for. But could you kind of elaborate on what you meant by that?
Um, you mean with the lyrics?
Yeah, lyrics and just like wanting to rap. Like that was your main focal point
Like
on this record.
some of the, I'm not gonna, I don't want to go into like the deep detail for the sake of the conversation, but just certain songs is certain deep, like the way that I got into the lyrics and um the entendres and like just the metaphors and just saying things in a different way than anybody else. Everybody got a way to say they're gonna do something, but a lot of people like they got a lot of ways to say like I'm the best. Like you might hear a rapper just flat out keep saying I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. But like, how many ways can I say that? How many ways can I say this? How many ways can I say that? And it was just a different type of writing process. And for the first time, I would write a verse, go back to it, take things out, put things in, and I don't know how it comes across to the average listener or hip hop head, but I want when people listen to it, I just want them to think like, yo, he really crafted this. Even if you never heard me before, like who is this guy? He's crafty with it, you know. So I just really like, you know, most times like and Mighty can tell you, he can give me a song, he can give me a beat and be like, yo, this is a feature for somebody, or this is the song I got an idea, and I can turn it around quick. But now with the process with this project, it was more like, nah, I know it's good, but I want to make it great. Like I know it's okay, but I want to make it more than okay. So I think just the process with the writing with wanting to really rap was just to like, poke the chest out a little bit, like I want to show y'all that, everybody else got that I'm superior, swag in that rap. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna show the same thing and I'm gonna try to do it to the best of my ability. So
I think it came across really well. I think the cadence and the wordplay was the thing that really caught my eye, especially given the fact that these beats are so fast and like noisy and like brash. Like you really still like you don't get lost, and I think
right.
that's impressive just on its face, like to not get lost in some of these beats, or with the others with these other guest rappers too. That you guys obviously had some dope features too. Like
For sure.
I think it really came across, and for you, Mighty Healthy, I know you had you just kind of like was kind of referenced earlier that you kind of took the initial, at least initially, you took the wheel and kind of steering this ship for Mighty Cannons. And that kind of leads into something that I found really interesting, which is something that you tweeted however long ago. It was on the topic of trying to make how to produce an album that's cohesive. And you specifically said you should think about the ending as much as you do the intro. Every track must have a purpose. Don't repeat ideas. And post production written 3 times.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was great to see you tweet that after listening to this album, because that's definitely one of my favorite things of this record. It's the sequencing, the way songs flow into some others, like especially the moments, which are not that many, but when it is a little quieter or a little less noisy and like in your face, the way it kind of like is used very intentionally before it like leads into some another like fucking banger. I love that. So could you like explain how you followed that guidance yourself, like when you made this album?
Oh yeah. And so with the that tweet was funny because I think there was one guy that kind of just disagreed, and I was just like, dude, I heard your music. You probably need this device to look on the wire. But anyway, when it comes for me, albums is something I take seriously. I put a lot of thought into. I treat it as a movie. And with that being said, when it comes to albums, especially a one producer project where there's one particular sound and one particular rapper, like you have to, for me, you have to be very deliberate with your choices. And one of the biggest thing was how I approach every project is how we're starting it and how we're leaving. You could fuck up all the middle, because a lot of albums, kind of slow down in the middle. Mm-hmm. But if you know how to end it and you know how to start it, you did a good job. But for me, once I figured out, because how I operate is I get all the mute. I have an idea of where I want to take the project before I even have any music. So I already knew that I wanted the last song to be like the one time I do something drumless, but it's like the hardest drumless beat ever.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I don't do that a lot. I'm not known for that. And so because it's like I know I'm gonna be just keep hitting you and hitting you and hitting you and hitting you. And the ending, I know I wanted him to go like a little bit autobiographical, like a little bit of just to show that we could do this, but we're gonna hit you 9 more times before that. And so like I outline albums before I even have any music. And so then the next job is, it's like, for example, I wanted an intro that hit like that. Then I wanted a second track to have a beat switch, and I wanted like another sing. Like I have the track list beforehand, and then I go find the music to fill in all those gaps.
Wow, that's very, very intentionally put together. That's impressive. And I guess that answers some other thing I was curious about, is that I guess you made all the beats for Mighty Cannons for Mighty Cannons. Like you didn't take beats that you made otherwise and kind of put it in, or did that actually happen? Like it served the purpose that you?
Yeah, Mighty Cannons had a lot of on and off. So I think like the Gotham joint, I think I had that for like a Lucid first. There was one Raekwon joint I had in there. Like there's certain older joints I know I had for other people, but for the most part, this was just okay. This is for Ace and nobody else.
Okay, and so we've touched on the fact that this is like a one producer, one rapper album. One of my favorite trends of the last like 5-6 years in hip hop has been like this very clear resurgence of that. I think even at like mainstream levels too, it's becoming a lot more common. And what do you feel like that dynamic of just having Mighty Healthy as the sole producer and architect for this album, working with Ace, like did for the album? And do you feel like you could have done something similar if there was like Mighty Healthy and then a bunch of other producers?
Only if he was involved. And I say that like, now I'm not trying to like, well, I am trying to toot his horn, but like, to achieve that, you would have to have somebody or a mindset, because I feel that we possess the talent to hear something and know, hey, that fits or that fits. He could easily, he knows a bunch of producers. He could say, hey, send me this, and he could pick stuff out. So I think if it was both of us still masterminding it, yeah, I think so. But it's kind of like one of those kind of things like, yo, I wish I knew somebody that could rap in double time, or I wish I knew somebody that could have melodies when they rap. And so instead of like relying on everybody else to have these ideas, we just do them ourselves because we possess that kind of talent to do it. So um to answer your question, yeah, I think it's like the gangstar mentality, the Pete Rock, CL Smooth, you know, Mob Deep, have Havoc do all the beats, it's just coming from that cloth. We just cut from that same cloth. So the way it came together, I think that if we had other people produce, yeah, we could have pulled it off, but it's better this way.
Yeah.
It would have really boiled down to just post-production, like, because when you're getting sounds from other people, there's, even though I'm not doing them, there's still like how Supreme Clientele was done. Like there was clearly other people throughout, but you could still tell
It was
RZA
still RZA, yeah.
throughout. But I mean, we were great self-contained, and for his solo project, I'll be doing exactly what we're talking about. So
That's dope. Nice.
Yeah.
And like, I'm assuming also this kind of dynamic simplifies the process, right? Like you don't have to worry as much about like other people's ideas kind of muddying your vision and things like that.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. Like you said, like we became real good friends through the process of this like project. Like we would talk every single day. Like all right, I know his schedule, he know my schedule. I'm free around this time, and call me around this time. I got like an hour window. We just gonna just rap about rap music in general, but we're gonna pluck each other's brains. You know what I mean? We're gonna just spitball ideas, say what we want, say what we don't like, and but I feel like you know as far as us like disagreeing with each other, that was like very it was very rare. So
Mm,
I mean the process of this project, man, was just it was beautiful, man.
it's amazing. And when people listen to this album, some of the names that have been referenced definitely come to mind as, in my mind, about as it relates to inspirations for this record. And so
Mhm.
I'm curious, like, what were some of the influences or reference points that you guys had in mind when you concocted Mighty Cannons and the creation of this?
Mm. Well, for me, like if you listen through the album, there's all kind of inspiration through it. And if you was like it just depends on what era of hip hop you grew up listening to. But like the very first song is like I don't know how other people hear it, but when I hear it, it's like, yo, you can hear the Nas and Coogee rap influence, or when you hear um the record with Josiah, you hear the Busta Rhymes influence. That's like some Busta type stuff, and then you got Birds of a Feather. It was on some like Wu Tang, Jizza, Raekwon the Chef type. So it's just like a whole lot of influences through the project. But I think the popular thing people are saying, it's like a Wu Tang. It's like the album that we want Wu Tang to make, but for me, it's much more deeper than just being influenced by Wu Tang. There's a lot of influences, Mob Deep, and like I said, Busta, Tribe Called Quest. It's like just so many different influences sprinkled through the project.
obviously for my sound, like I'm a Wu baby, but that's just the foundation. There's other things I wanted to explore. So for example, the intro. We're also huge anime guys, so
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot of clips from little shows and random stuff like that. We both wanted a project that just felt like a Dragon Ball Z episode. Just action end to end. So there was that influence. There's the obvious Wu-Tang stuff. I went back into like a lot of just like anything from just Rakim or just Kanye stuff, just Busta. And these are all influences that we both agree on. So like that's what just made it so much easier. So to hear something, it's like, oh, that's that influence. Okay, I'm gonna do that. And so, you know, kind of the fun was for this project was, hey, like, these are all the things that we like, but what if we did this our way?
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that you wanted to make this kind of like a movie, or the way you make albums like a movie. Was there any actual movies that came to mind when you were thinking of Mighty Cannons?
Well, at the time, I was just deep diving into different anime. I think the Batman movie just came out, so that's why we just had a song just called Gotham. Actually, with Gotham, my vision for that was just the chase scene when he was chasing Penguin and just walking up to him. Like that. That's why I had like that beat switch going from the Rise to Gotham. Like to me, that was just him walking. I think of scenes in my head and try to match the music to that, and yeah, like there's so much that goes into it.
No, I love the way that you guys are like, I think Ace, the way you mentioned, and I want to stress that, is that people have been saying like very lazily, I find, like, oh, it's like a Wu-Tang album, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just kind of like throw in that label, which is obviously it's not a negative in the sense of like Wu-Tang is great. We all know that, but I feel like what you guys are saying, like it's so much more than that. There's so much detail and kind of a mix of influences that I really feel come across, because this doesn't really sound like anything I've heard. Like I know for the patrons of this show, as part of the Rap Music Plug podcast Patreon, like when this album dropped and people were like in the group chat talking about it, like everybody just felt like an energy. They're like, oh shit, like yo, this is sick. Like this is like, there's nothing really to refer to, like, oh, this is like that other album that dropped this year, because there's not much sounding like this. And I think that's when you can say that about any album after there's been like a million made by now in hip hop,
Yeah.
that's pretty special, I think.
It's exactly what we set out to do, because you know, and we touched on it before, just the one producer, one rapper project. I mean, you know, I hope this doesn't sound bad, but like 90% of people make the same album again. It's just the same album over and over again, just different people.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, like, okay, what is something we could put together that we're not going to be lumped in with all these people?
Yeah.
And you know, for us, it was just bringing that excitement that sets us apart.
Mm.
And it's aggressive rap done well. I think that's another part, that there's a lot of albums that, or and rappers generally, like, that are very aggressive, that rap over things that are like labeled boom bap, and it just comes off stale or dated. Like this sounds fresh and exciting. Like that's also, I think, big, and big ups to like Ace. You're rapping like it just comes across like electric. Like that's the word I'd describe. And I think
Wow.
you made an impression on a lot of people.
I never heard nobody say it like a lecture. Yeah, that's dope, man. I really, I don't even know what to say to that. I appreciate that. I really do, because I know countless nights me sitting right where I'm sitting right now, just with the beat playing over and over, and like I could say this, but nah, I need to, like I would tell Mighty, sometimes I'll write like 2, 3 versions of a song, like FKS. Um, it took me weeks to write that, because I mean, not to say that the first one that I wrote wasn't dope, or the second one that I wrote, it was like, it's dope, but like I need to go to a different gear. So that's what, to go back on what I was talking about earlier about just becoming a better writer, just trying to think of some clever bars and something witty, and but also it's understandable, it rhymes well, but it also makes sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
we sometimes guys just rhyme to rhyme. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you heard what he said, it's so dope. Like, yeah, but what did he mean? So yeah, I think that to say that it's like a lecture, I mean that's man, that's an incredible comment to give. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that's kind of what made working with Ace so fun, because you know, on the surface level, like that kind of rap is not for everyone, but like Ace finds a way to just make it sound fresh and fun, and so
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's what made this whole thing a breeze.
And so, last thing I want to get into is, what is the favorite song for you on the project and why? So I'll start with you, Mighty Healthy. What do you think?
Oh man, FKS. I could talk about FKS for hours, so you could just cut to Ace. Like I love that. It was so fun to put together. It went through so many revisions.
That's
Yeah,
dope.
yeah. Far as uh, Mighty knows I flip flop. Like I FKS on most days is my favorite song. Um, if you talking about from the beat standpoint, what he did with the beat and the levels it goes to, the first verse sounds one way, then the second verse has different sequencing in it, and it sounds different than the beat switch and some of those bars and what I'm actually saying, and I think FKS might be the one. Like in my heart of hearts, you know, how you might have a favorite, but you're like, I love Birds of a Feather, I love Hive, and I love Molotov. But in my heart, I'm like, yeah, they're really good, but FKS is my favorite.
Because for me, it's between that or Gotham and the intro. Basically, all the stuff that I really post-produced after. Like, so if there's one thing about this project, a lot of the beats, a lot of the songs that he written to are not the same thing that came back.
Mm.
So especially with FKS, because FKS was originally 2 separate songs. And even before that, it was a completely different beat. And like there was on the hooks. Like I like going back and rearranging stuff. And
No, I
so
love that.
yeah.
I love that part about the album generally. For me, actually, I'd say it's the outro. That's what I'd say. And it's
Wow.
like it's not because of the drumless part, because I know that's like the distinct factor. I just think the beat, like the sounds, it's like it's melting. It's like fucked. It's just fucked up. Something about it's super warped, but like God, yeah, that's one of like my favorite beats I've heard all year. Like it's just I love it so much.
At that time, I was listening to I was remember that joint on I think it was ASAP's second album, the Back Home joint with Mos Def.
Mm, yeah,
Like
yeah.
like a fucked up version of that.
Oh, I gotta listen to that again and see what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
because
I felt like you was just
it just
gliding, like it was like you gliding through a black and white TV screen or
Yeah.
some like Saturday morning cartoon shit, but it's like demented in a
Yeah, it's
way, like
demented. Yeah.
like riding a, it's funny you say fuck your wave, but it's like you just riding this wave. That's what it sounds like, it's like a action adventure cartoon or something. That's what it reminded me of.
and then to add about the arrangement of that song, the reason why there's a beat switch and like he's kind of rap into another beat and it fades out is because originally that was supposed to be a beat switch, but I think he lost the session or something. And so we just had like that rough cut. So I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. We're still going to use it anyway. I'll throw it as a skit.
Well, we wanted to do that second half, and like he said, like lost the session, but I've tried to we wanted to re-record it to clean it up, make it better, but for some reason it just wasn't. I don't know if it was my vocals. I don't know what it was. I just wasn't feeling it the same because I've been so far removed from it, but the vibe just wasn't hitting the same as that first one. And I was like, no, that first one that's the
Mm.
one. I don't want to re-record it, and so I didn't have the vocals, so he couldn't mix it. So I was like, we just have to use the raw version. But there's an aspect of that that's pretty cool because we grew up on hip hop that like didn't sound like
Yeah.
clean. It didn't sound perfect, and so it's like one of those like a beautiful accident.
I love that. All right. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I think this gives a lot of like extra little insight, cutting room floor knowledge to people that have been loving this album. And if you haven't heard it, change that. Go check it out. And I want to give you guys just a quick chance to plug anything you got upcoming, merch, new music, anything of the sorts.
Okay. Well, obviously we're already talking about the next one, the next Mighty Cannons. I got right now what's coming next. I got Mighty and Subordinate coming. So I'm just taking a lot of Griff's old stuff, a lot of old shell stuff, and kind of remaking it my own way. King Mighty 3's in the works, and I think that's all the stuff I'm allowed to talk about. It's like I don't want to say, yo, I got this short, and then like, yeah, that looks stupid.
You could tell about what we do. You could tell about that.
Oh no, that's your turn.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm working on a little 5-pack right now. I'm trying to put out soon. I don't know when, but hopefully within the next 2 months. I want to put out like a little pack, and then me and Mighty are doing that RZA Supreme Clientele thing. We're working on my next project, and it's called P.S. I'll Kill You. I love saying that. I love telling people it. It's like
That's a
it's
dope
a
title.
follow up. It's a follow up to my project Sincerely Yours Cannons.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Sincerely Yours Cannons. P.S. I'll kill you. So it's like just a follow up to that. So we're just getting back into that, and Mighty's he's gonna help me navigate through the sounds of that, and that's gonna be fun. And also, obviously Mighty Cannons 2, which is gonna be a daunting task.
You got a lot to follow up, but I'm excited. I'm excited for all those records that are mentioned here, and just thank you again. This was a lot of fun. Really appreciate the time.
One last plug. Go to grimynobody.com, GRIMEY nobody.com, but AOTY at checkout for 15% off everything. Actually, I might raise it to 20 just for next week, but that's the discount code. Acknowledge that it's the album of the year. You get a nice little discount.
All right, I'll put that in the description of this episode for those that want to check that out. All right, man. Take care. Really appreciate the time. Peace.
All right, thank you, man. Peace. Man.
So there we have it. Another episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV. I hope this episode gave you some new perspectives and insights into what the greatest art form known to man in hip-hop music has to offer. If you want to support the show in the most meaningful way possible, it would be my absolute honor to have you as a patron in the new Rap Music Plug podcast Patreon. Through this Patreon, you will be getting exclusive content such as bonus episodes, exclusive album recommendations, exclusive playlists, early access to episodes, and more. And above all, though, you will be able to support the show directly in a way that will not only justify the crazy amount of time I spend on this show already, but allow me to cover some of the expenses related to supporting all of these great artists that we cover on the show through the website, and will allow us to sustain and build on this amazing growth that the RMPP has experienced recently. Big shout out to Dano of Free Music Empire, Levi, Mahima, Jeff, Mitch, Dash Lewis, Pancake Cleaner, Trey, Noah, Justin, Brandon, Joe, Gavin, Matt, Teddy Faley, Jackson, CN, Slumber Logic, Fatman Tomb, and Khalid for your generous support through the Patreon. I really appreciate it. So if you have any questions about any of the Patreon stuff, or just want to keep tabs on the show, interact with me on rap music and all the great stuff that we can talk about, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rapmusicplugpod, or shoot me an email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com. You can also rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify as well. But that's enough self-promotion for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.